Where did you go?
British Museum.
Where's that?
London.
The Natural History Museum.
No, British Museum.
How many museums does the city need?
Lots. Speaks lots.
Lots
to show.
We're going to the Natural History next week and the science.
Have you got?
Yes. I knew that I needed to.
I didn't know.
Always check online.
I'll keep you so disappointed in you.
Oh.
There's a
Failure, Dad.
open top bus. I thought, that might be an option, yeah. What that cost? £7.
Yes. Yes.
36 quid.
Charlotte, you're out of touch, my friend. You
Is it
were out of
seriously?
touch.
£40 each to go on the...
Nearly 30.
Oh, mine ain't doing it. I'll take him out of the car. Just sit right out the window.
Budget the cost of the fuel.
Yeah, that's true. We're driving there anyway.
I've done the agenda, so I can't really do it for that. And I did also have that.
Oh, there might be a way. Make that noise. Yes, that noise. Thank you. Right, we're ready. Are we ready to start? 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the ordinary meeting of Dunchurch Parish Council. I will read through the normal spiel first. Photographing, reporting, recording, filming or transmitting the proceedings of a meeting may occur, and therefore all persons participating in the meeting should be aware that such recording, reporting or filming may take place. Members of the public attending the meeting but are not participating in the meeting who do not wish to be filmed or photographed in the meeting must state this at the start of the meeting. If members of the public do not wish to be filmed or recorded, they must sit in a designated area away from the recording equipment. There's only one piece of recording equipment that I can see tonight, which is obviously facing the councillors and not the public. Does anybody have any objections? Okay. We'll go first into the public participation session. This is a period of 15 minutes where members of the public are invited to give their views on items on this agenda, including planning applications or raise matters for consideration at the discretion of the chair. No decisions will be made in this part of the meeting. The public participation session is a general forum for open discussion, after which members of the public will have no further opportunity to speak unless invited to do so by the chair. This is strictly limited to 3 minutes per resident. Total time will be 15 minutes. Does anybody have anything for the public session?
Well, just
Yes.
Cornwall villager. The item about refurbishing the bench by the war memorial. I mean, 3 years ago, the timber was completely replaced. It just needs, the timber just needs refinishing. Ideally with something better than you've used on the benches that you've done on the green, because that's flaking off already. There must be some other treatment that you can use. So I don't see that it needs to be totally removed.
Okay, is that everything? You think, okay, that's noted, thank you. This has been looked at in detail, and the reason to remove it is because of the weather, because if it gets damp, like the flaking of the benches on the green, they weren't completely dry when they were finished. However, so once it's taken inside, it will be given time to dry out, be treated properly before it's put back. So that's the reason for that. Okay, moving on.
Yep.
Item number 1, to receive apologies.
Apologies from Councillor Jan G. Russell, Rugby Borough Councillor Peter Eccleston, and I'm assuming Howard and Deacon Roberts.
Okay, that's noted and accepted. I propose that we accept those reasons. Apologies. Does anyone second?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to item number 2, declarations of interest and dispensations. Jill, you would like to go round?
Yes, I will go around those please, so I'll start off with Harry.
No,
No. No.
Paul? Tracy? Howard? Ian?
No.
Karen?
I have an interest in the plan application for Dunchurch Park Hotel on the neighbour. We'll be putting in the comments I have individually rather than through the parish council. And I'll step away from any meetings regarding the hotel.
Okay.
Noted, thank you.
It may be that you might have to leave when,
Yeah.
and if it's discussed later. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Item number 3, reports from Rugby Borough Councillor and Warwickshire County Councillor. Have we had a
I haven't had a report,
letter?
but you'll note that I sent an email round and apparently there's going to be a planning meeting regarding Dunchurch Park Hotel.
Yes. Thank you. Moving on to item number 4, co-option of a new Dunchurch Parish Councillor. Is anybody come this evening to put themselves forward for co-option? That's a definite no. A wall of silence. So we'll carry that forward to next month.
Okay.
Thank you. Item number 5, minutes of the Parish Council meeting which took place on the 14th of March. We've all had sight, thank you. All councillors have had sight. I propose that we vote to accept these minutes as they are. Can I have a second, Gary?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh no, maybe not, because I was out of the meeting for a while, so probably need
I
somebody else.
was there the
Yeah,
whole time.
yeah. Sorry, the abbreviated
Yeah, well done.
abbreviated version of it.
Spot.
Is that unanimous? Thank you.
Thank you. I won't read off that one, actually. So moving on to item number 6, clerk's reports of activity since the last DPC meeting.
Right, it's a fairly long one actually, I'm afraid, but partly covering the thatched bus shelter. So I organised some fire safety training for the library volunteers recently, and it appears that we need a new fire exit sign with an arrow pointing in the right direction, together with a new fire blanket, which is actually up to date. The total cost will be approximately £21, and there's a picture.
Ooh, the arrow goes the right way.
The arrow does go the right way. So everybody happy if I go ahead and purchase?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would vote.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first thing. The Dunchurch Parish Assembly will take place in the library on the 25th of April, commencing at 7 p.m. and the agenda will be going on the notice board and publication on the DPC website tomorrow. Apparently I've been told that the photocopier in the library doesn't seem to be working. We had somebody to come and do some maintenance on it, but it still doesn't seem to be working, and I think I need to investigate. Are you happy if I go ahead and do that?
Yes, please.
And the DPC is in the process of installing 2 laptops to replace the computers which don't work for members of the public in the library, down at the bottom there.
I'm waiting on someone to come back to me with a quote
Brilliant, thank
for
you.
the docking station.
Okay. Brilliant. Okay. And as you probably know, work has commenced on the thatched bus shelter on the 4th of April with a temporary bus stop, which is next door to the PC notice board. Simon Construction erected Harris fencing to cordon off the working area before the existing thatching was removed, the electrics to the lighting disconnected and the existing seating removed. Plywood sheets have been added to the internal walls temporarily to provide additional stability to the existing structure in preparation for the lifting process to level up the bus shelter. Props are also in place to allow the structure to be lifted. Paving slabs have been removed to the shelter perimeter internally and soil removed to reveal the existing foundations to each post. The architect and structural engineer visited site on Tuesday and Friday last week to discuss new foundation requirements and connections for each of the 10 posts supporting the structure. The structural engineer will now provide details to allow steel connections to be manufactured prior to further works being undertaken. However, the architect has asked me to ask you, there are several questions that they need responses to. The thatcher has suggested including a fire-resistant membrane, which will be added prior to laying the new thatching. This will help to protect the timber structure should the thatching ever catch fire. And the architect has asked for a cost before deciding, so he'll let me know. The existing paving slabs inside the bus shelter need to be removed to undertake the work, and some are broken. The architect suggests either replacing with new slabs or consider alternative finish, i.e. brick pavers. I don't actually know what they are.
Block paving.
Block paving. Okay, so does anybody have a view?
We asked for it to be kept the same as it is, so that it looks, because they were going to concrete it at one point, which we said no.
And it's, you've got to abide by any listed conditions as well.
Yes.
So I'm assuming slabs.
Yeah, I think they're
Okay,
they're
next
looking at the
question.
whole layout.
They've suggested the existing plaque, which is currently laid in the footpath fronting the country road, is relaid in the floor at the entrance to the bus shelter. Is everybody happy with that?
Yeah, I think that makes, we discussed this at the time of the working group, that makes perfect sense, because at the moment people don't realise it's there unless the ring's there.
There's
Metal, sorry, is it metal?
Yes. But it can't go into the structure, because we tried that, so we
Yeah.
suggested putting it into the structure, but you can't, because then that weakens the structure.
Yeah, it'll just take some time before it gets to one end.
Yes. Yes, yeah.
right, type of new seating in the shelter. It's suggested that this is like the existing, i.e. black painted timber seats in front. This will also help to hide the remedial works necessary to the base of each post. If the seating is slatted, debris could gather under the seating and provide a potential fire risk.
We used to put that the same anyway. That's what I said. We wanted it the same anyway.
Yeah, but we were talking at the time, because when somebody tipped all the pots out and things in there and put the rubbish, Darren took the ply off, and it was full to the top with rubbish and leaves. He filled 4 or 6 builders' bags from just in the seating, so we were having a discussion about metal seating, but...
Leaves have always been a problem there.
Yes, yeah, they are
So
on
it's
that green,
probably
aren't they?
Yeah.
So as existing.
As existing, we'll just get Darren to check it towards the end or something to make sure that it doesn't build up.
Brilliant. Okay, and that's it from me. Well, for the time being.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 6, Dunchurch NDP.
Okay, so there's been no further consultation from Homes England on any of the developments that they're doing, or the link road. The site investigations for the link road have taken place, and we've not yet received a planning application for the link road. Framptons, who represent Tritax, held the public consultation for the development at land off Corston Farm on Tuesday the 22nd of March. I visited the exhibition and have asked for a meeting with the Dunchurch Parish Council, and I continue to call to Framptons for a consultation actually taking place within Dunchurch. So,
No, thank you, that's
Yeah.
important.
we have received a planning application, R22/0193, for Dunchurch Park. That was published on the 6th of April. Comments need to be with Rugby Borough Council by the 20th of May. The information is available on the planning, the Rugby Borough Council planning website. In particular, the planning and heritage statement, which I've currently going through at the moment, I think contains numerous anomalies, which we will consider as part of the Dunchurch Parish Council response. We believe that more than 40 pods have been delivered to the site, Signature Hotel Group are blaming the supplier of the cabins for the lack of planning permission. They said they weren't told that they were needed it. They say that they ceased delivery when they found out that planning permission was needed. We think they continued with it. Also, if they have, there's around 200 people on the site now, and they're saying that the pods are not being used, so why do they need the pods? It is a temporary application for 18 months. Paragraph 4.1 says that there's no change of use as the guests check in and out on the hotel booking system. Now, that's not a system that I've seen available for the hotel. And it also, another item, paragraph 4.1, the origin of the guests has not changed the nature of the use of the hotel. So I think the nature of the hotel has changed by the installation of the security barrier.
And maybe the public not being able to go in.
And the public not being able to go in, that's right, yes. So I'm working my way through it, ready to put, to allow the councillors to make a comment, and Jill will collate the comments, and we will reply before the 20th of May. Residents are welcome to respond on their own behalf before the 20th of May. And just finally, I said last month that the NDP group are expected to resume in April. I'm still hoping that will be the case.
Definitely. We'll definitely get we'll recruit some more members, hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll set that date.
There's ambiguity over the number of pods. Is there a way of finding that out? Can we send a drone up? Or have the... I'm not joking.
Yeah.
You can do that. Or can we... the council has surely done site visits, so
Can
did they count?
Can I say anything on this, or am I excluded?
It's fact.
No, yeah.
Well,
We can
it
check
might be
it.
a factual comment. It might be you counted them.
I think we should do it via official channel of
Yeah,
Councillor Eccleston,
I think that's...
because he has the list. He can provide us with the...
Paul, are they saying how they're going to sewage and drainage and
Yes,
I'm conscious as well from a power point of view. You've had like numerous power surges in the last few weeks which ended up with fires, one at the school. I'm not saying it's linked to that actually, but that's going to then be additional
it
on
will
our
be.
do you know what I mean? Are they
Yeah, I don't know about electricity, but they're certainly they're plumbing them into the main sewer
which is
on site.
which is potentially going to have an impact on the village as well.
Well, yes, it's all additional.
Yes.
Yeah, it's things like that. That's all I'm thinking. So.
Yes, because if they're using the hotel, as I say, they're processing people, using the pods to process people before they can transfer them into the hotel. So they'll have a full hotel plus all the pods in use, so that will increase the capacity and the usage dramatically.
100,
I think that's what
150 people.
I think that's their plan, isn't
I
it?
think that's the plan. Without
It's like you
actually
say,
saying
why do you need these pods? Because you've already got that amount of space. Why do you need extra
Yeah,
space?
And they're talking about it being used for isolation and for GP visits and yes, so there's,
Well, they've been there a while, so what's the status so far? They've used the hotel.
yeah, exactly.
So they weren't needed in
So
the...
why do they need it?
Yeah.
So okay, but I'll put this together and send it around to you.
Yeah, okay.
Well, so,
Moving on.
take it.
Yeah, sorry, we're just going to move on first. Can we wait till the end? Or is it relevant to
I'd like
this?
to say, if you'd like the pictures of inside of one of your church facilities, I'll send them to you.
Thank you very much, but I think we need to follow the official... Thank you for that, but we'll follow the official channels if that's okay. So moving on to item 9. Sorry, this is you.
It's made up, isn't it?
No, it's Jill. Item 9.
I'm afraid it's...
FOI request.
Oh, sorry, we do the planning application.
Sorry, we're doing it, yeah. Unless you want to say something else on
No,
the
the other applications, the other planning applications are listed at the back of the agenda.
Yeah, thank you. Is there anything on any? No? Okay, thank you. Sorry, I put you off in your prime.
So,
freedom of information request. Okay. So, Dunchurch PC has received one request for information under the Model Publication Scheme, one subject access request, and one freedom of information request during the last month. I am in the process of taking legal advice from the National Association of Local Councils regarding the above correspondence through the Warwickshire Association of Local Councils. These requests can take a considerable amount of time to manage, as well as an inordinate amount of councillors' time, who are all volunteers. This can mean I am not able to complete other tasks that I should be able to do, which would help and support the community in Dunchurch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the considerable work that you've
Hours,
you've
isn't it?
done.
Hours and hours.
Thank you. That's the plaque.
Oh gosh, thank you. Okay, ready to move on, Jill?
Yeah.
Breather. Item 10, to receive a report from Councillor Ian Grogan re the Queen's Platinum Jubilee.
So I've been liaising with FODS, who are doing a brilliant job on the Jubilee celebrations for the village, and also other groups like the WI, the festival group. So to the latest, it's the beacon is now agreed. Contracts have been signed with the blacksmith, gas engineer and gas equipment. Work on the foundations to put the beacon in will start on the last week of April. The actual ceremony itself will be on the 2nd of June at 9:45 in the evening as it goes dark, so that we can tie in with all the other beacons being lit across the United Kingdom, which is rather lovely.
Nice.
There's going to be a piper and a bugler attending on the heath. The mayor has been invited. We don't know if the mayor can come, but they've been invited. The vicar will be there to bless the actual beacon. Pleased to say that our chair has been invited to unveil the beacon on the actual night as part of the ceremony, and there will be a plaque going on to the beacon saying that DPC sponsored the beacon and put the money forward. And words have been worked on for that between me and FODS as we speak. A short affair, probably about 20 minutes, and then the other two elements of the Jubilee celebrations. There's going to be a ceremony in the church on Friday the 3rd, and the scouts, the cubs, the guides, etc. will all be there. And there will also be a tea party in the grounds afterwards, and I will give more details at the next meeting. And the final piece is Sunday the 5th, when it will be the Dunchurch picnic up at the sports club, starting at 12 noon, and there will be some limited entertainment, and there will be picnics and food, ice cream van, Morris dancers, etc. to celebrate Jubilee on the 5th. More details next time.
Brilliant, thank you ever so, and thank you for this.
So we've got all that, Jill. Sorry.
Just cancel that post-it.
Can you hand me the post? I'm in a hot sweat.
That was you were right, because the smoke was coming up your pencil.
I think a lot of good work's going on, and it's a positive story, and it's a chance for the village to celebrate something positive after such a tough time. And I'm going to be speaking to the newspapers. Yes.
No, brilliant.
Have they found where they're going to move the trees to yet?
I haven't got that, I'm afraid, but I can find
Mark
it.
Dibjadik's sorted that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's finding an area where they'll be more suitable for the works.
Thank you.
Yes.
But yes, I will report back on press.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. Moving on to item number 11, to discuss the protection of the Lord John Scott the Cleaning.
This is somewhat shorter, you'll be relieved to hear. I reported at the March DPC meeting that a specialist conservator should be engaged to clean the statue with specialist products. And apparently they need it thermoclean, and it's a kind of a steam cleaning process. We've received 2 quotations to date. One is from Bowden and Ward for £2,525, excluding a VAT, and one from M. Power and Sons for £5,750, excluding VAT. One of the reasons that the work will be expensive is that there isn't a water source nearby. nor a fire hydrant. Although Bowden and Ward have provided for their own water and power. I'm endeavouring to get a third quote. However, it's been a little bit difficult to get appropriate costs. But I have heard from someone today, and they basically said that they will provide a third quote if we need one desperately. I've also contacted a former councillor who did the war memorial cleaning a little while ago,
Yeah.
and he has given me the name of somebody as well that I might be able to find. And so I've got another couple, but the other company is Andrew Linton, and you know, he says he'll investigate the possibilities of obtaining water further.
Okay.
So would you like to defer that?
I think so, because those quotes are very different, so I think we need research too. Yes.
I think, as I said, I think the reason that the Power one is because they have, I mean, I don't really know what the answer is, if
No.
they can't, you know, there must
It
be
must have been done before, or it must have been,
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think also look at the quotes. One of them was just for cleaning, and one of them included repair of
Repairing.
cracks and rewriting the
that is
yeah,
true.
redoing the lettering on the
yeah.
on the
So
page.
perhaps that one, the second one, perhaps need to go back to them and just give a quote just for the cleaning.
Okay.
So they're like for like.
Yeah.
Is that what we want? Just cleaning?
Well, we need to
Or do
separate
we-
the idea, we need to separate them, because we might have somebody else that can only do the writing and the repairing. So I think probably in the interest of fairness, we need to let's treat them as separate project.
Actually, I'm not so sure that they didn't quite just the same.
My
I think
gosh.
I'm magnifying, that's good. And to clean the memorial and remove all algae,
Thanks, the
Yeah.
lettering.
yeah, but for cleaning it, it's
Oh, yeah.
3,650. So it's still more.
Still, yeah, just that, yeah.
Yeah. But at least I don't have to go back to
No,
it
that's good,
because
thank
that's-
you.
Yeah.
Still over £1,000.
Pardon?
Yeah.
More than one, no.
The worry. Very good.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, don't worry, I'll defer that and I'll get more quotes.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 12, to discuss and if appropriate agree the DPC maintenance plan to remove, strip down, restain and reinstall the bench on Memorial Green at a cost of £475, inclusive of materials and labour. Obviously, as we said earlier, we've taken photos of it, it was brought to our attention, we took photos of it, it's in need of repair urgently. I've stated the reasons why it's going to be removed so that it has a chance for the timbers to dry out completely, because that's what happened to the benches on Stock Street. There were certain patches in it that weren't properly dry when it was painted. So
They are going to redo it.
they are going to redo it, yes,
Yeah,
yeah. On that one they are going to redo it.
Where's the bench? Where is it?
By the bus stop on Memorial Green.
Yeah, I know.
It's on the pavement by the bus stop.
Yeah.
It's really, really weathered. So,
I did send a picture out to everybody a little while ago. It was a while ago, though.
yeah.
So all I need to know is whether you want to go.
I propose that we go ahead with it and have it restored to its glory.
Okay, that is fine. Does anybody second?
I will.
Thank you, Ian. Is that unanimous, everybody?
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Item 13, RFID GP.
Right, this is actually, this is the RFID. Do you want to read?
I think Jill's
Would you like to?
Yeah, I've written it. And I've got all the documents.
Yeah, so we were recommending a company, so that the machine there is going to be, well, it's basically redundant, and it's going to be removed.
It's the RFID.
When you put your books in, you put
Yeah.
them.
Oh, it's the library, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, library.
Oh, sorry, yeah, this is live.
Right.
Like business. So it's going to be removed. It's not intended to be replaced by central library funds. So if we want to replace it, we would have to pay to have it replaced. It's not inexpensive, however. So the company that they recommend, which other companies, other libraries in the Warwickshire area use, is, I forget the name of the company, but it's Self-Check 1000, which is what the County Council use in Rugby Library, and it is rather expensive, so it would be £5 short of £5,000 plus VAT. There is a more slimline version, which is the Self-Check 500, which would be effectively £4,000, and there is also a support and maintenance contract that sits behind that, which would be £650 a year.
But that's the following year. The first year, you get the maintenance free.
What do the volunteers say?
The volunteers say they definitely want an RFID.
What's
machine.
wrong with old school, just writing down the date in the front of when it needs to be back by?
Yeah, there's two schools of thought. So we spoke to Harbury Library, and they like to do everything manually if possible, because they think it enhances relationships between villagers and the volunteers in the library. Equally, certain villagers like to do it with the RFID machine. I spent some time at Rugby Library 2 weeks ago, and it was probably split 50-50, people using the RFID versus going to the 2 or 3 people that were manning the stations.
But that's the main library in
Well, that's-
town.
That's the main
Yeah.
library.
What's the usage of the library?
It's not busy enough, surely.
I don't think it is busy enough at the moment.
I can't imagine it's busy enough here that they've got queues of people that are waiting to use the machine.
They're not.
I can look at the football now, unless you know it, in the book.
I don't know it, but
Have you done a quick look?
I'm not sure we need to do that.
It's like 4s and 5s.
I just
Maximum
think it for how often. I'm not saying it with the volunteers, I'm sure would love it. It would make it easy for them. It's an awful lot of money for something that's probably used 3 times a day.
So there's a couple of things. There's probably other improvements we could make to the library or the community hub that might increase footfall. I don't think an RFID machine is going to increase footfall. I think doing some stuff around the fabric of the building may do so.
Yeah.
So I think we should probably defer looking at this for the time being.
I just personally think if we're going to spend £5,000 on making the library more user-friendly and more accessible, then...
Yeah, but we've got Section 106 money specifically
I was going to
to
say,
be used for the library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of money.
not just
for-
the volunteers though. You know, I've seen, I mean, I'm in here Tuesday and Thursday, and I've seen people coming in, and they love it, especially the younger people.
Oh, the kids love it.
I'm
But-
sure they do.
but
They're
ultimately,
good enough for £5,000.
We could probably get an arcade game for less, and then that.
Pac-Man.
So,
I like the community. I
Well,
like the
having
more
a new
community
machine
feel with
isn't
somebody
gonna
literally
increase the
going,
usage.
stamp.
yeah.
Oh,
And I
People aren't going to say, oh no, we're not going there now because they've not got the machine.
now I've got an RFID machine.
They're not going to not come because the machine isn't here.
so there's other things. So I'm looking at other opportunities for the library. I will produce a report at some point. So I've obviously been to Harbury Library, I've been to Rugby Library. I've done some research with a couple of library groups. So I'm going to have a look at what we might do and make some suggestions that we can perhaps discuss.
When does this go defunct? Has it got a date? It had a date, didn't it? When this is obsolete, didn't it have a date?
Yeah, it's the April.
Oh, it's April.
But does
Yeah.
it just switch itself off, or can it be used after April and you just carry on until it breaks down?
Well, it belongs to Warwickshire
It's
County.
not
Council.
ours.
Oh,
They're going to
okay.
take it.
Take it.
Yeah.
Take it away.
It depends if they actually remember to go and get it.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, they've all got these anyway.
not all of them.
Oh, but we
Maybe
can
we
stick
should
it
put
on.
on.
Yeah.
Maybe we can look at it. Can we defer it for 12 months or something?
I think we defer. We look at the other
Yeah.
opportunities for like.
Let's see how it works
Mm.
in that. If it causes an absolute catastrophe in that time, perhaps we could review
I
it.
think maybe ask Warwickshire County Council, whoever owns it, whether they are going to take it back.
Well, they are.
They are.
It's
They're
on a
definitely-
lease, it's definitely on a lease, it's on a
I
contract.
think that's why we started
Why
looking
are
at
they
it.
taking it back?
Pardon?
Why are they taking it? Why are they not supporting local community
Because
libraries?
it's out of date.
Does it provide any stats or reports about overdue books?
Not
No,
as far as
the
I'm
system does,
No,
doesn't it?
it's
The
the
library
system
system
does.
does,
Okay,
yeah.
It's just,
Well,
it just,
that's in there,
just
yeah,
processes, it removes a human being basically. So you imagine a rugby library where it can get busy and they've probably got 2 people working, it provides
Oh, right, okay.
a service in that respect because it gives
Yeah,
capacity.
like a self-service, isn't it? Where you,
Yeah, and
you
it's
put
a-
your new books to take out.
And it's a lot of money to
Okay.
spend.
But then the account line, if you spend it, then it supports the library for the next 20 years, doesn't it?
But we've got the 106 money.
Make sure we're never going to lose.
Yeah, we've got the 106
So
money. Was it
some of
10 that we've
It's
got to
also
spend
committed
on?
£600 a year for maintenance costs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
£600 a year is quite a lot of money as well.
No,
Yeah,
I'm just
especially if
saying-
it only gets used by a handful of people.
Commits you to a structure, doesn't it? I'm not suggesting go ahead, I'm just saying it just give you that commitment to keep it here for
Yeah.
20 years rather than just...
Yeah, that's a short term. Yeah, so we defer it for a year and then
yeah.
we can review it in, or 6 months. I think a year to get
A year.
But a year is
A
better,
year.
isn't it? We get
Because
the full-
if we're going to do anything to the fabric of the library, then it's going to take us a while to agree
Yes.
that and then action it. So let's leave for now.
Do you want to propose that, or do you want that in there? Or?
I think, I'd just say,
Yeah.
further to
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on, item 14, to discuss and if appropriate approve the, no, that's the RFID machine. To approve the summer planting scheme in Dunchurch. Wow, this has been a challenge. So this has gone on for quite some time. Jill and I have both spent weeks trying to obtain quotes. Under the financial regulations for parish councils, it's stipulated that we have to obtain 3 quotes for any work that's carried out over a certain amount of money, which is over £1,000 and under £3,000, that we will try and obtain 3 quotes. We were unable to obtain 3 quotes. We've contacted 11, I've sent this round, sorry, but it was late, 11 different garden centres, locally and further afield. Most refused to give us a quote. They weren't interested in quoting for the work. The ones that we did get back would only give us quotes for the perennial stock, because they don't get their bedding plants, which is things like, let's have a look, begonias, the trailing fuchsias, geraniums. They don't get those in until May because they die if they're put out before June. So they wouldn't quote us on that. So we have managed to obtain, I did go back to FODS with the original thing. We had a garden centre come to us and said, we'll quote you for perennials and other versions of bedding plants that we've got in now. I've been back twice to ask for the planting matrix, and that was the only reason for asking for the planting matrix, to see if we could incorporate some of those in so that we could get a quote. Unfortunately, it came back that FODS had made a decision they would like for like quotes on that. So the report that I've sent round today gives the details. There's only Smiths that with the quote from FODS that will provide a full quote. Everybody else was a bit of a mixture. The 2 that I've got in, there's quote 1 and quote 2, and the councillors will see from the report who those companies are. So we're in a bit of a quandary really. I can't get like for like quotes. So I have a suggestion. I have tried and tried and tried.
Yeah.
So there's 11 different garden centres. We have a couple of choices really. When we first discussed the summer planting, I don't think I was under the impression, and I don't know if anybody at other councils were, that there would be such specifics that would be required. Obviously we do have to go out to quotes, as in the financial regs. We've been unable to still obtain the correct information. So I suggest we proceed as follows, which is up for discussion by the councillors only. We accept the quote from FODS of Smith's Nurseries for this year. 2, we accept the quote for the perennial plants, which is what we've got quotes for all 3 from. Or 3, we do not accept the quote from FODS and continue with previous year's planting prior to 2019, and ask either a local garden centre to provide and plant the DPC pots, or provide the plants and ask Darren and others to plant. That's the thing. So these are the quotes. They're a lot different a lot different. That's the report that I've sent to you.
What proportion is the perennial plants versus the total
There's more bedding than there is
in terms of
perennials.
value?
The bedding plants will go, they'll only last this year. The perennials, as we discussed at the time, to go with the global climate change, we want to look at our carbon footprint. So to have, rather than putting everything as bedding plants every year and then chucking them out in September, we wanted to go look towards more perennials so they'll last year on year, and then plant up with a bit of bright colour each time. Yeah. But the majority won't provide bedding plant quotes until the season's here. And I have literally, I knew how to.
So why don't we for this year accept the quotes for the perennial plants, and then the other plants, by the time they're able to get quotes, FODs can then go and get 3 like-for-like quotes, and then we can accept them when they're ready to actually be planted, because they don't need to get them yet anyway if they're not available to get to be planted. And then we make a decision on what we do going forward, because I, for one, personally, it's amazing as it all is and how lovely it looks, it's taken you hours to try and achieve the unachievable. So I think we need to have a plan for what we do next year, so we're not in the same position where we're spending hours and hours and hours of our time or your time.
I agree going forward for next year. I think we need to look.
We need a plan, but I think for me personally, I think we maybe accept the quote from FODs for the quote for the perennials for FODs to do, and then say when the other plants are available, feel free to come to us then with the 3 quotes, all ready and done, so we can just go, yeah, that's great, that's the one we'll give you for. And then it takes the onus off you a little bit.
I'm happy to
That's
do
my
that.
personal view on it.
It does make sense to actually have end of March or end of April we agree the perennials,
Yeah.
end of May we agree the plants.
So we separate it into 2 and say,
two sections.
we appreciate it might not be ideal and it's not what you originally wanted, this is the best we can do.
Well, it's the only way you can do it.
So
I can't do it
we
fairly
can
any
only, we
other
can
way.
only do what we can do
No.
with what's available, and this is what we've got at the minute, and please, you know, just bear in mind that
Makes it easier for quotes.
Sweat and tears.
It does, yes, because it's been, it has been weeks and weeks of chasing as well.
From a pure practical point of view, I'm okay with that, but we just make sure that the quote and invoice comes in, it's addressed to DPC,
Yes.
not to FODs,
Yeah.
otherwise there's a 20% uplift on cost because of VAT.
well, we can just make sure
Make sure that's stipulated, yeah.
Trouble is, we've got nothing to benchmark it against, have we?
No,
We can't go
because
to another village because everything's just different sizes and different amounts.
Well,
We've got
this-
a benchmark, can we?
yes,
We have
this
a
is
budget.
in my.
Sorry?
We have a budget.
We have
Yes.
a budget, but we
So we've
haven't.
got something.
We have a budget, but our
Whether it's
usual.
right or where it is, I don't.
Prior to 2019, this will be something for discussion at a further date with the council. We need to make a decision. When FODs took the initiative to enter Britain in Bloom, and I think it's a fantastic idea, and the volunteers have excelled themselves, and this is nothing negative against the volunteers and the hard work and the determination that's gone into it. However, as far as I'm aware, no agreement was reached with the Parish Council as to say that they would support the entry into Britain in Bloom each year, or any year going forward. And I think that needs to be ironed out, because previous to this, our planting for winter and summer was via the local garden centre, who used to go and say, we've got 24 pots, can you fill them for us? And they chose what went in them, and they just came back and said, this is your quote. So to go with specifics and a long list of specifics, you can't get them in the country at the minute. It's only I don't know how Smith and they've done it, well, presumably because they had this in October, and that's how they've managed to do it, because they pre-ordered or looked at it in that way. But the garden centres won't cope now, so I think that's a separate issue. We need to look at going forward. What do we do? Which will be obviously come in line with our prices increasing for everything, especially energy, massively. So, Cara, do you want to make? Has anybody else got any discussion on?
Yeah, I think from
We're
a
saying what needs
FOD's point of view, they want to get that whole planting schedule ready, costed and
totally
paid for,
agree, yeah.
and it's getting, there's a lot of plans that obviously involved and so on. Is there any way of splitting the FOD's quote up
Well, I think that's what
That's what I'm saying, that's what
Sky
we
says.
suggested.
We split the perennials
but
off.
so that we can achieve the flowers from
Yeah.
splits, but in portions of the quote, rather than as a whole, one that's over.
Yeah, I'd accept the perennial planting. I think that's fair. I think that's fair to accept on that one. And then, as Cara suggests, with the bedding plants, then we need to push that forward. Smiths have provided the quote, and maybe we could ask if FODs could approach at least another 2 quotes.
Well, yeah, I mean, if FODs
Well,
wanted...
how much is the annual planting part of the quote?
I don't know. I haven't split it off, to be honest, because it came. We need to make a decision first
That
on that.
may be less than £1,000.
Smith, yeah,
Or one part of it maybe.
yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, you know, split it up into 3 separate tranches maybe.
I think
But we can't guarantee that we're going to submit. We're going to commit to Smiths.
Yeah.
I think that's the.
And we can't really do that.
You can't break it down.
No.
That would be like saying, oh, you can have your £5,000 thing, but just going to charge us every 6 months £300. It's kind of a loophole, isn't it? I don't feel comfortable doing that, personally.
I agree, I wouldn't want to go and ask.
No.
Smiths, if it's a separate decision point, that you then go back and choose to use Smiths again.
That's what we're going to do.
That's different. Yes, yes.
That's what we're going to say, we'll pay for the
We pay for the
Smiths,
perennials.
or we'll pay for a nursery's perennial
Yeah.
plan. Which one are we choosing?
That's what we need. That's what we need to.
And I
know.
just think then with the others, that if FODs are specific about, well, this is what we want planting and what we want, that's fine, then you can go and get the 3 quotes. Because if not, then we'll just go like we used to do and say, you can plant all this. We're more than happy for FODs to do it, it's amazing that they do it, and we prefer them to do it and to carry on with what they do. If they're not able to get the 3 quotes, like for like, then we'll say, okay, well, we'll sort it.
Well, I'm
And
happy
then
to go back. I'm happy
it comes back to us.
Yeah, I'm happy to get the quotes for the bedding when they're available, because it will just be boom, boom, boom. It's because they're not available, but then they have to go out and source them and see if they could source them.
Yeah.
Somebody's come back and said we can supply you in trade of 350. They want 350. So it's either bulk or nothing at the
Yeah.
minute. So I'm quite happy to do that, and I think probably under the financial regs we should perhaps obtain the other 2 quotes anyway, just so that we can say they are.
Okay. And then we have a plan for what we're going to do next year, so it doesn't get stressed.
Yeah, I think we need to sort that for next year.
Do we know how much we save by FODs doing the planting? Whereas in the past we paid for the planting, whereas now FODs do it, so there's a proportion of saving, isn't
I'm not
there?
sure we say.
Costs a lot more.
Costs a lot more doing it this way, doesn't it?
Costs more to do it this way.
I think because the quote is for the whole village, for all of the planters, where we only have 24 planters. The
Right,
DPC own 24 planters,
right,
so that's what we're responsible for planting up.
costs more.
And then FODs then will plant up other planters around the village that belong to them.
Okay,
And we contribute the cost of that for them
okay.
in exchange for them planting them all up and it looking really lovely.
Which it does.
It
and
does,
that's
and
the
they do-
hard
and
thing.
they do
That's the
a
real.
Brilliant
Yes.
job.
You have to take the emotion out of it, and
No, no, no.
it's
I'm
really
just saying-
difficult to.
I just thought last year probably was about the best I've ever seen a village look in my 20
Because it
years
costs a
here.
fortune. No, but it costs a lot of money and a lot of hard work and a lot of effort and a lot of commitment from the volunteers.
Yes.
This isn't an emotional issue, it's about us following financial regulations.
That's what I mean, yes, yeah.
That's all it is.
You have to take a step back.
That's
And
true.
you've done lots and lots of work to try and get comparable quotes, and that's just not possible, so we do have to split it up, I think.
Well, I agree.
Yeah, I'm happy to propose that we accept the existing quote we've got. Whether bedding plants are available, we'll go back and we'll get another quote and then we'll say, right, here you go, here's your bedding plants.
Yeah.
But for now, this is what we've got.
So we should be able to do that for April's meeting, because they should be in. They should be ready by the end of May.
So accept
April meeting.
FODs quote
Sorry, I mean May's meeting.
for perennials.
So is there sufficient time to get the quotes, get it approved here, and then place the order?
Yeah.
I think we've already approved the value, and that was at the January or February meeting of the total. As long as the quotes we stick to,
Everything
it
through.
doesn't actually need to come back to the
2005.
parish council for meeting.
Because we've got the quote, as long as we get the quote.
It's not about approving the quote, it's about getting the quote. That's the problem, isn't it? The quote, we've already approved the
We
amount.
need to decide which quote we are choosing.
Well, we can do that.
Sort of
We don't
like
think that's
what
need to go to a meeting.
It will be
as
a
long
like
as
for
it's
like.
in the amount.
Yeah, it'll be a like for like, whereas at the moment they're not like for like. That's the only reason it's had to come back.
We won't need to come back to meeting to approve which quote. We can just do that.
Right, so we're accepting FOS quote for the perennials and then need 2 further quotes for bedding plans.
Yeah.
Circa the budget that we've approved.
Yeah.
Circa the budget amount that we've previously approved.
Yeah. So it could, so we just need to go back and say, will this quote stand for the bedding plants?
So I'll just throw seeds on the floor and hope for the best.
So
But apparently
you're
that's not what we
proposing
do.
that, Cara?
Yes, I'll
Okay,
propose that.
who's seconding?
I'll do it.
Okay. Is that unanimous?
Agreed?
Yeah. Everybody
Yeah.
happy with
So
that?
when will FODs know
You'll know
about the
tomorrow.
site planting?
Oh, well, they'll know by the middle of May, at the very, very latest.
I don't think they're not going to get the planned plants.
No, no,
It's just where we get it
Just need to
from.
clarify.
We just need to understand what the timescale is now,
Yeah.
because we've been talking about this since.
Yeah, but this is it, they're not available. They're not available until end of May.
Yeah.
Well, you could go and get a few geraniums now on the hope that they're going to, we'll put them in the shops now so that they'll die Easter weekend when everyone goes out and plants because the frost will get up. Then they'll have to replace them all at the end of May. That's a warning if anybody's planning bedding this weekend.
Yeah, well, mine have died out for not to really nice home
So
basket.
can we liaise
Did you
over
recommend
the wording of the
Yes.
letter to FOS?
And can I put it in the minutes that nobody is questioning the volunteers and we really appreciate the hard work and the support that they give and the time that they give?
So
I'm not saying we don't want them to keep doing it.
No, it's,
At all, please do.
Really appreciate help and support of all volunteers. Yeah.
we can discuss that tomorrow.
And I'll work with FODs to get the timescales and programme
Brilliant, thank you.
for next year.
Thank you. Okay, you ready to move on?
Yeah.
Moving on to Councillor Martin to discuss the refurbishment of Art Play Area and potential spend.
Well, whilst Councillor Marlowe's been having cups of tea in libraries, looking at gadgets, I've been stood in the rain in Arkwright Field, being stood up by various play equipment providers. It's amazing. Right, so we are down. We now finally have 2 quotes, and I have a final meeting with someone next week for the 3rd quote. However, this is a company that have stood me up twice, and I've been assured that they're actually going to turn up next week.
This is applying to obtain like
Honest
for
to
like
God,
quotes.
again, it's just trying to get quotes. It is absolutely ridiculous. I can't even begin to tell you how crazy it is. However, on the plus side, a new company that did come out came up with a new idea which might change me having to get the original quote redone, but just bear with me.
Okay.
The
It will
price,
raise it in the end.
it will, because the price of a zip wire for 1 kid, for the same price, I can get a Titan, which is a much more firm. It's like what they've got a Draco where they spin round. You can have up to 5 children on it at once, including a special needs fully inclusive chair
Oh.
for the same price. So
That
it
sounds like
is
a plan.
possibly going to put a slight spanner in the works because I'm going to have to go back to Wixty because it's potential that it might no longer be like for like, and I might have. But for me, actually, to wait that little bit longer now to know, because it'll be such a, for the same money, 5 or 6 kids, different levels, different ages, but especially the fact that it's got that. I've tried so hard to find something to put in there that would be a bit more inclusive.
The health and safety
I was
notice.
going to say, yeah.
The health and safety
Do
notice.
you know what? No one's ever got done. To be honest, if you've seen our, what's it called, that roundabout, was like, you know, how we've managed to keep that going for all these years without someone suing us, I don't know.
Don't say that, it's not out yet.
No. It's staying.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's brilliant. So yeah, so hopefully I'd like to say this time next month we'll have the 3 quotes, but I've said that every month for about what feels like 10 years.
We'll
So
just keep going, it's a lot of money to spend. So.
it's a lot of money, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
That's where we're at.
Moving on to item 16, to consider a request for a grant to Art in Dunchurch for £700.
Yeah, I circulated the community grant application form to everybody,
You do?
and all I need is somebody hopefully to approve it.
So it's here.
So art in Dunchurch, what does that actually mean? What's it?
This is
Where's Jane? Oh, she's left. Has she left because this is her?
she's gonna have to.
She doesn't need to leave though. She's not on the council.
Does it not give sufficient?
So they want to hire a large scout marquee at the cost of £200 for 15 days, insure the site for £150, provide PPE, advertising for aspiration sanitary employers.
It attracts a lot of visitors into the village.
Yeah.
It's a scheme that's run nationally, and it's been held for the last couple of years. I think we're trying to make it a bit bigger. And a
It
bit
was held at the old post office last year.
Oh, right, yeah.
England,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Over couple of weeks, I think.
It was a couple of weeks, yeah, and it's really
Yeah, it goes on
they're
15 days.
They're local artists that sell their wares as well and explain everything about in detail about how they're. Would somebody like to propose the grant?
I just make a comment that I'm supportive, but what we can't do under the rules of how we fund it, we can't fund it every year.
No.
So as a one-off funding, I am supportive.
That's quite right. I would be as well. Yes, there's no one else, nothing.
Yeah.
There's no.
Okay, so you're proposing
I'm
that?
happy to propose it.
Okay.
Gary second.
Okay, and everybody, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent idea.
Okay, moving on to item 17, to ratify DPC's policies, library risk assessment, Dunchurch Community Library Health and Safety, which have previously been circulated to councillors. I propose that we vote to accept
Brilliant.
the new policies.
Thank
There's
you.
a new slide change.
I'll second.
Okay. Who said
Second,
that?
Councillor Marlowe.
Thank you. Is that unanimous? Yeah.
Okay, moving on to item 18, to update re-speeding, dangerous driving and traffic in and around Dunchurch. The main thing for this month has been the filter lane feed from Daventry Road, where it was on, then it was off, then it was on, then it was off. And now it's back on again. But if there's no cars sat waiting, they're smart traffic lights, and this has been the problem trying to get it across to people. They monitor the traffic against the four roads. If there's nobody sat at that junction, but you're 500 metres away coming up the hill and you see it, it won't change to green for you before anybody else because it thinks there's nobody there. So I think it's a case of education.
Just getting used to it.
It is. Otherwise they'll end up removing it permanently. They won't put a filter arrow in.
No
They
stranger
won't
I was
put
talking to
that-
me in the village about it, only by chance, because these lights aren't working anymore, they don't work, and he said they do. If you're there at peak time, they tell you where to go. If you're there on quiet time, they just don't seem to work, they do work.
They say you've got to abide by the highway code.
Yeah.
That's the, yeah. They're putting the emphasis back, but I think the trouble is, because it's been like it for so many years, people just assume that it's as it was.
Yeah.
I came up Coventry Road to the lights and stopped at the lights for only about 10 seconds and then changed to green again because there was nothing coming
Yeah.
from Daventry or from Southern Road and Rugby Road. So it's clever lights.
It is clever, it's much quicker, the traffic, touch wood, isn't building like it used to. So,
I'm still not sure about the inside lane though, I think there's been a massive accident there or something. Just the
you
way
just have to hope.
I
I have raised it with them because when there's a
There's a
van
blind
sat,
spot now,
Yes.
you go straight on
Yeah.
that middle inside lane, somebody's turning right down Downton Road, it's just waiting to happen, isn't it?
yeah,
Mm.
But it has
unfortunately,
been.
they've modelled it all on a computer
Yeah.
and they've brought people who've had bigger job descriptions and made the
Yeah,
decision and it works in their book, so
I just wonder if there's something we should be doing on
Job
the
description.
slip road to Daventry Road because it's difficult now because people don't indicate, but you used to be able to tell from kind of how they were positioned on the road.
that they were coming.
And there's no, I know under the new highways, we've got highway code,
Yeah.
pedestrians have first priority, which is absolutely right. But what can we do there to make it safer? Because I don't feel particularly safe when I walk my kids to school and back every day.
I would personally, I would like to have that junction blocked off. That
Yeah,
little
but-
tiny bit,
But then you've got people turning around a very sharp corner.
but they have to slow down.
The lorries wouldn't be able to
Because
do it.
they use, well that's the only
They
thing.
end up with remodelling it again.
You'd have, because what's also happening is people are using it like a slingshot, so they're not stopping. There
Mm.
should at least be a give way at the bottom before you get onto
Oh yeah, because that's a bit, so
There's
messy
no new
junction,
way,
isn't
yes.
it? Where,
Yeah.
by the Memorial Green.
Yeah, so they presume they've got right away and they come down and use it like a slingshot because there's nothing coming because the traffic lights aren't on red from that side and fling off down Daventry Road, which is on that. So I am trying to talk to somebody from Warwickshire County Council,
Yeah,
but they're not responding at the moment and I think that's because it's election time. So we might have to wait 5 weeks. So there's that one, sorry. So that's done on there. And the same with item 19, to approve the 20 mile an hour limit. It's still under review and that's still trying to gather information from other councils on that one. So moving on to item 20, finance.
Yeah, I'll do the dull bit. There were no payments to approve. And the bank reconciliation, which details all the payments that were made during the month, was provided on the Parish Council website. I can confirm I've checked the Co-op bank reconciliation back to the bank statement and the transactions to the finance system. I've also checked the bank reconciliation for the CCLA account to the bank statement as at 31st of March. We've not received a statement from Scottish Widows since February, and not yet received one from Skipton since we opened the account in December, although Joe is making sure we get one from March. We came to the end of the financial year, so a few things worth noting. Overall, excluding projects, we spent more than we budgeted. We spent £107,549 versus a budget of £102,920. The larger areas of overspend are maintenance and repairs of lighting, where we spent nearly £8,300 versus a budget of £5,000. It's potentially we might have under-budgeted for this new financial year as well, although as we're replacing a number of lights, hopefully we will have less issues. And overall the spend on the library at £6,628 compared to a budget of £4,500. Most of that overspend relates to one invoice received in the last few days of March to cover a true-up of actual cost usage since pre-COVID, as no reading had been carried out. Just one thing, at the beginning of the year we set aside £35,000 for community donations and projects, and we've funded £15,520 into community this year.
Brilliant.
£15,520.
Yeah.
I just have one question on, and it's nothing to do with the accounts, is why do we show the sort code and bank account on the notice board?
It's full bank reconciliation.
But can we not just take that bit out?
Nobody can get into it. We couldn't even get into it for 2 years.
I'm just saying, we're not professional hackers that well.
No, nobody can get in, trust me, nobody can get into it.
I just wondered, I just found it curious that they all seem to tell you sort code or your account.
Yeah, no,
And yet
nobody.
we've got it on our notice board.
We also, there's other checks for identity when you need to go in. So online banking, you can only have a security token.
I used Sky Bet and I was hacked at the weekend. They took 150 quid out of my bank account.
No,
And that's fully protected.
Put that one in.
So I'm just saying, I just found it a bit odd. So, just a
Thank you,
comment.
yes, yeah, no, it is noted and we did think of that before, but it's literally, it took us 2 years to get in. So I feel quite, and we check the banks, between the three of us, we do check it regularly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we have to. So I don't want to keep it
That's
safe.
any question.
It's a good point. It's a good point, though, yeah. It's a good point. Okay, anything? Right, okay, moving on, out finished, sorry. Put the glasses back on. Item 21, are there anything for private session? No. No. That's it, thank you very much then. So that concludes the meeting. The date of the Parish Assembly will be on the 25th of April. Back here.
Indeed.
Thank you everybody, thanks for coming.
Yeah.